Mm. Hey there. Hello, how do you do? My name is Harry Wetzel. Thanks for coming. It's the 80s, darling. Yes, it is. It is mid December 1983. Yes, I've been at Vino Veritas for a couple of weeks now. The only thing constant is change. Yes. So, it's the middle of the month, it's the middle of the week, it's about 9 p.m. at night. We're all hanging around in the shop between customers and waiting for the next phone call for a delivery. Gregory's leaning up against the cash register. Michael is wiping down the counter and wiping down stuff with a spray bottle and a rag. And Stephen is reading a paperback wine guide, the Best Pull Off Wine Guide, an excellent reference, by the way. And they are all in each other's way. I'm just hanging around over here. Suddenly the phone rings. It is from a regular customer, Wasserman. I have never been called to Wasserman yet, and he lives up here on 86th Street on the 22nd floor. Yes, he orders a couple of bottles of very nice white wine, a nice bottle of red wine as well. I go get them from the racks. Gregory bags them up, and he gives me my change. Steve says, "Hey, when you go up to Wasserman, make sure to ask about the view. Stuart was telling me that it's really amazing." And I said, "Thanks for that." I got my stuff. I got my change. Back in a flash, I say, and out the door I go. Now I'm walking up 3rd Avenue. I love walking 3rd Avenue. There's plenty of shops and stuff. I love passing the Kang Deli. The woman who works there is so pretty, and I love to look in there and see if she's there. She's there. I keep walking. And that's the way to get to know a neighborhood, is to walk all over the place in it. And that's what I'm doing as a beast of bourbon. I love it. I love taking these little walks. And before I know it, I'm at the corner of 86th and 3rd, the very corner where I almost got killed. Exactly. So before I know it, I'm upstairs on the 22nd floor, and Larry Wasserman is inviting me into his apartment. I say, "I'm supposed to ask you about the view." And he says, "Right this way." And he takes me into the living room. It's a huge living room, beautiful teak wood floor, and a couple of really nice fancy sofas, and with a couple of beautiful young women sitting on the sofas as well. They are Carrie and Mary. They're Larry's girlfriends. And I say, "It's a pleasure to meet you. Did you ever notice how many people rhyme with us?" And we all look out the window, this huge window, at this amazing view of the New York City skyline in all its night glory. There's the park over there. There's the Empire State Building down there, lit up with all its lights. It's just dazzlingly pretty. Larry says, "Well, would you care to join us in a little sip of wine?" And I say, "Well, it would be impolite of me to refuse such hospitality, and foolish of me to refuse such charming company. So, yes, I would love to join you in a little sip of wine." And Carrie stands up, and she's on her way to the kitchen, and she pushes me on the shoulder. She says, "Oh, I like him way better than Johnny. He's way better than Johnny was." And she pushes me, and I immediately have a crush on her. She goes into the kitchen, and Mary says, "Yeah, but you got a funny accent. You're not from around here." And I say, "Oh, excellent. So, where am I from?" She says, "Oh, I'm not good at that sort of thing." Larry Wasserman says, "England, right?" And I say, "No, not at all. I'm from stateside. I'm from this side of the ocean." And Carrie comes out with 4 empty wine glasses, and she says, "Larry, would you get the bottle and pour, please?" Larry says, "Right away," and he dashes into the kitchen. And so Mary says, "Are you from Chicago?" And I say, "Excellent, close, but I'm from Michigan. I'm from Detroit." And Larry in the kitchen says, "I knew it." And Mary says, "You did not." Carrie says, "You thought he was from England." So Larry comes out with a bottle of wine, And he pours. And we sit down and we have a lovely conversation about the amazing skyline and my funny accent too, a little bit, which apparently Mary even said it does sound a little bit like you're from England. And I said, I have no idea what on earth you could possibly be talking about. We sat around and chat for a little while longer, and eventually I said, I've got to get back to work. I've got to get back to the shop. I said, I'm still on duty. So Larry paid me. He gave me a nice tip. And I kissed the hand of Carrie. I was crushing on her. And I kissed the hand of Mary. She was very sweet too. Larry walked me out to the door. And poof, I was gone. In the elevator on the way down, I say, I've been here. How long have I been here? Gregory probably wants to kill me. I walked the short couple of blocks back to the shop. And when I get there, I look at them from outside before I go in the door, and they're all pretty much in the same position. Oh, Michael's on the phone right now, I see. Gregory is still leaning up against the cash register. Steve is still reading his paperback book. And Michael has got his head down as he talks on the phone. And I'm watching this scene as I quietly open the door. And I hear Michael say, I told you not to call me here. Goodbye. And Steve's got his wine book and he says, Noble rot. You know, in certain vineyards, they actually let the grapes get a little bit moldy or even begin to rot, and they call it noble rot. The thing is, when the wine shrivels up with the rot like that and the mold, it results in a juice that is extremely rich in sugar. I don't like sweet wines. I had a terrible experience when I was young with sweet sherry once. Gregory said, yeah, who didn't? And so Michael is on the phone and says, I told you goodbye. Bye. And then Gregory says, where's Harry? And Steve says, Washerman. I can't believe it. They don't even know I'm here. I'm just standing here. And suddenly I realize I'm the invisible man, so I don't make a sound or a move. I want to see how long this goes on. So Michael says, I said bye, 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 goodbye, goodbye. And he slams the phone down. Crunch. Steve says, hey, it's the only phone we got out here. Gregory says, Margie, giving you a little domestic discomfort? And he goes, yeah, Mikhail, why's she calling you? He says, I told her not to call me down here. And Steven says, well, why'd you give her the number? I didn't give her no damn number. I don't know how she got it. I didn't even want her to know that I had this job. And I said, and I can't take it any longer. So I say, hey! Steve jumps 3 feet in the air, and Michael and Gregory just look nonchalantly up at me. I say, I'm here. Gregory says, so? So I go up to the counter, I give him my change, and I lay out everything, and I say, "Where's my 75 cents?" And he gave me $1 bill. He says, "Here's $1. Don't say I never gave you anything." I said, "Oh, great! Now I can buy that apartment on Long Island." I said, or an apartment with a view like Larry Wasserman's view. And Steve says, yeah, Stuart was telling me that it's really great. I say, it's amazing. It's fantastic. An amazing, dazzling view of all New York and all its night glory. It was fantastic. And while I was there, he had a couple of young ladies, and he insisted that I stay and join him in a sip of wine. Gregory says, no wonder you were gone so damn long. And Steve says, so, Michael, is Margie going to come on down and spy on you? Michael says, she better not. All right. What I need you to do is share this out. What I need you to do is subscribe. What I need you to do is like this. Like, share, and subscribe. Please do. We need to get this empire going. Yes. And you know what happens next? More later. All right. Thank you for coming. I look so forward to seeing you again.